All right. Good morning, everybody. Sawadee krap, and welcome to our webinar that we called, maybe a little bit optimistically, Post-COVID-19, the road ahead. My name is Siep Hoogstra, and I'm the representative for the Board of Investment Thailand in the Benelux. In March this year, we were organizing a program for a delegation from the Board of Investment Thailand that was coming to the Netherlands. And we had planned several events and visits. And of course, due to the outbreak of COVID and the consequent lockdown measures, the mission had to be canceled. So we therefore are very happy that together with the Netherlands Thai Chamber of Commerce and in collaboration with the Royal Thai Embassy in The Hague, we've been able to gather so many of you, both from the Netherlands and Thailand and other parts of the world for this webinar. That is, of course, an advantage of this new normal, that we can do these events combining people from all over the world to sit together virtually, but to sit together and speak about Thailand. First of all, some practical information regarding this webinar. The presentations that you will see will be made available after the webinar. You are all put on mute to avoid background noises. And when there are any questions, please use the chat function in Zoom to pose your questions. At the end of the webinar, we will try to answer your questions. And if it cannot be answered during the webinar due to time restraint, we will make sure to come back to you after the webinar. For this webinar, I believe we have found a very interesting program for you with 4 key speakers who will tell you more about the impact of COVID that it had on Thailand and on the Dutch business, but also the opportunities that it might have created. Before we start the presentations, I first would like to ask the Ambassador of Thailand in the Netherlands, Mrs. Exiri Pintaruchi, to say a few words, and after that, Mr. Marco de Jong, President of the NTCC Netherlands, will also say a few words. Mrs. Ambassador, may I give you the floor, please?
Good morning, Khun Siep, and good morning to everyone from The Hague. I hope everyone is doing well and in good health. It is my pleasure to take part in this webinar today on this very timely topic. Since early this year, all countries across the globe have been coping with the rapid spread of this virus and led to the disruption of the global economic activities. And it is a bit relief that the situation now in Thailand and in many countries in the region in Southeast Asia, as well as in the Netherlands and Europe, are unfolding positively, although we must remain alert and vigilant. In Thailand, there has been no report of domestic transmission of the virus for more than 30 days now. And most current cases are those who return from abroad, all of which have been well contained. We have entered the 4th phase of the relaxation of measures and easing of restrictions, which saw lifting of nationwide curfew and increase of economic, education and health-related activities. The report of improved situation here in the Netherlands and the recently announced relaxation of measures by the Dutch government, as well as the most recent announced EU's easing of travel restrictions yesterday has also been very encouraging as well. Our focus now for Thailand, which I believe as many other countries, is on mitigating the economic and social impacts from the lockdowns. Thai's economies, like many others that are deeply integrated with the global supply chains, have been affected by the disruption of the global economic activities. And the Thai governments have implemented 3-phase economic measures worth more than 10% of the GDPs to mitigate the impact of the outbreaks on the livelihood of the peoples. This ranging from measures such as soft loan, providing soft loan, debt moratoriums, cash handouts, extending tax filing deadlines, to establishing corporate bond liquidity stabilization funds. And with this, the Thai economies have been proved its resiliency throughout a number of regional and global economic slowdowns, and include this crisis. It's also proved our strength in various elements. In particular, the strength in our financial systems, in our market size, in our business dynamisms, and in particular, the strength in our food and agriculture system and our healthcare system. And speaking of the medical and healthcare perspective, Thailand ranks number 6 globally from almost 200 countries around the world, and is Asia's number 1, and the only developing countries from, in the world top 10 list, according to Johns Hopkins University Center for Health Security. And we will continue to promote Thailand as the regional medical hub through numerous measures and investment promotion schemes, which you will be hearing from, I believe, from all the speakers, the subsequent speakers. And these measures including supporting R&Ds and clinical trials, establishing genome sequencing center in the Eastern Economic Corridors. The most recent ASEAN Leaders Summit held last week also announced establishment of the COVID-19 ASEAN Response Fund, which proposed by Thailand. This fund will be used to procure medical supplies and equipment, as well as support for R&D of medicines and vaccines, which, once available, should be global public goods that can be accessed equally at a reasonable price. And Thailand's also announced our voluntary contribution to this fund as a symbol of ASEAN cooperation and solidarity as well. Another important challenge that faced by all of us during this COVID-19 is the need to work together to ensure the sustainability of the regional and global supply chain. And in this connection, Thailand has a strong conviction to not just only turn this challenge into opportunities by restarting our economic activities, but by also adjusting or rebooting the way we conduct business to ensure a more sustainable future, and also maintaining, reconnecting with the global supply chain. What I say by reconnecting with the global supply chain, what do I mean by that? But it is meaning that we will focus on boosting multidimensional connectivity in the region and beyond by developing high quality and green infrastructure, synchronizing rules and regulations, and facilitate cross-border trade, and support rule-based multilateral trading system, as well as expediting free trade agreements. We encourage, in this regard, Thailand's encourage partnerships and investment and trade and investments from abroad, and in particular in our Eastern Economic Corridor, and also corporations to help us develop digital infrastructure and to help us achieve our policies on bio-circular and green economic model to ensure a sustainable future. And speaking of the digital infrastructure, earlier this year, Thailand became the first countries in the region to hold 5G license auction. And next year, it is expected that the commercial use of 5G will be available, and the second batch of license auction will follow. Speaking of the Eastern Economic Corridor, it will remain our flagship project, as well as our economic corridor along the borders and the cluster corridors, which I believe the subsequent speakers could probably touch upon. The Eastern Economic Corridor will also focus on targeted industries, which are very much relevant with the post-COVID-19's priorities, and are very complementing to the Dutch business sector's strength and interest, I believe, which are, for example, automations, robotics, smart electronics, medical and comprehensive healthcare, and food for the future, and next generation automobiles, to name just a few. So you will be hearing from the following speakers, as been introduced by Kunsif, in more specific details and on the prospect and opportunities, if not challenge, on doing business in Thailand, measures and supporting schemes, and in particular, the practical views and experience of the Dutch business sectors who are doing business in Thailand right now. So without further ado, I hope I wish this webinar a great success, and I hope that you will find the webinar today useful information. And should you have any further inquiries or need any assistance that the Thai embassies can be of any assistance to the business sectors, the Dutch business sector who are interested to do business in Thailand, please don't hesitate to contact us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Ambassador. Thank you. Marco, maybe can you say a few words on behalf of NTCC, please?
Yes, thank you, Sip. I'm representing NTCC here in the Netherlands. We closely cooperate with the NTCC in Thailand. The NTCC in Thailand is a bilateral chamber, a leading membership organization based in Thailand that supports the Dutch, Thai and international business through its extensive network, events, information sharing, business matchmaking and synergies between its members. So I encourage everyone who has interest in doing business in Thailand to have a look at the website and to become a member. They have a whole team supporting the relationship business-wise between Thailand and the Netherlands. And from Netherlands side, we represent the NTCC, supporting both sides as well, encouraging trade between Thailand and the Netherlands. I also want to mention that for the Dutch SMEs, there is a facility, financial facility available from the Dutch Trade Fund. It's offered by the Dutch government, and especially in these times, I can imagine that there is interest for this. So I recommend to have a look at the Dutch Trade Fund, especially for Dutch SMEs investing opportunities in Thailand. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Marco. Very good. So our next speaker is Matthijs van den Broek of Further East Consult. Matthijs is an expert on ASEAN and a friend of the region. He has lived himself 10 years in Bangkok and was at the time also a board member of the NTCC in Thailand. He has been following the developments in the region since many years and will give us now an overview of what the impact of COVID has been on ASEAN in general and Thailand in particular. Matthijs, please.
Thank you, Siep, for introducing me. I'm very happy to participate in this webinar. 75 participants, quite a number. A lot of familiar names, a lot of familiar faces that I've met throughout the years. Thank you, Her Excellency the Ambassador, for opening this webinar. I want to have a look with you at ASEAN as far as COVID-19 goes, and Thailand in particular. We all know that the ASEAN region is doing something right in combating the virus. You see this in these statistics. Some countries are struggling more than others, depending on the medical care, depending on timely action. The first case outside of China actually was in Thailand, and the second one in Vietnam, and both countries reacted accordingly, whether it's sufficient testing, whether it's semi-lockdowns or lockdowns. And so the numbers are quite low, especially if you compare with Europe. Thailand, not even 60 people passed away, which is very painful, but it's not a lot. Singapore, a very high number of cases, but only 26 people died. The countries that are worrisome are countries like Indonesia and the Philippines, where it's still rising. They acted too late. They started enforcing lockdowns, which never really materialized. Indonesia was unfortunate to have the end of the fasting period coming up, so it was almost impossible in May to enforce a lockdown, which enabled the virus to spread really rapidly, and it's still going on. But even the numbers of people that deceased is compared to the Netherlands, for example, with a population of 70 million. Here, 6,000 people passed away, and probably the number is double, because we didn't count any people that passed away before April as corona death. So ASEAN is doing something right. Thailand in particular, Thailand and Vietnam are basically the two most successful countries in combating the virus. Of course, you know South Korea and Taiwan elsewhere, but in ASEAN, Thailand and Vietnam are by far the most successful. You can ask yourself how that come. Maybe you can go to the next slide, see. You can say how come? It has a lot of reasons. It has, of course, primarily to do with timely action. Singapore is an example of having great medical facilities, despite the fact that they have a high number of cases, which is primarily migrant workers in dorms. But the number of deaths is so low because of the high quality medical care. The same applies with Thailand and Malaysia. Sufficient testing. In Europe, we were far too late with starting properly numbers of testing, getting them up. In Thailand and Vietnam, for that matter, it was much quicker, thoroughly done. Vietnam, for example, did 300,000 tests, and that's about having 350 cases, about 1 infected people, 10 people around him were tested immediately. So they got it right, Lockdowns, if necessary, schools, businesses, quarantine measures enforced. And I think the last but not least has to do with the diet and the obesity. How come in Europe and the United States, we see so many people pass away on intensive cares? And that obesity is a large factor in that. And countries like Thailand and Vietnam having far less obesity, less people on the intensive care, and far less death. And that certainly has to do with, is one of the factors that keep these numbers so low. So that's very interesting. Let's go to the next slide. So where are we now? All economies, whether in Europe or in Asia, are dying to open up. They will have to open up. Otherwise, they will ruin their complete economy. Are they ready? Is the time right to do so? That's questionable, especially in Europe. Countries like Spain and Italy are opening up for tourism. I wonder whether that's too early, but they will actually have to do so. They are forced to do so. Thailand and Vietnam and Taiwan and Singapore are looking at it at a more careful way of doing it step by step. The ambassador already mentioned that the government puts in a lot of money to support the economy, whether it's exemption or lowering or delaying of taxes, whether it's boosting the domestic economy. Very important, but even Thailand will suffer, despite the fact that they will hit less and they will open up regionally first with economies like China, like South Korea, like Taiwan, like Singapore, like Malaysia, and they will rebound more quickly. The IMF is more pessimistic about that, but I tend not to agree with the IMF in this regard. International tourism, though, I will show you another slide where you see what happens actually as of today, where more travel is allowed as of today, and the EU and the Dutch newspapers, they're very euphoric about that, like, oh yeah, we can fly back and forth again, which is not the case. There's a lot of restrictions on the Thai side. I just talked this morning to Hans, the executive director of the NTCC in Bangkok, who's also with us today, and he verified for me also that the fact, yes, certain number of people can enter Thailand, but there's still quarantine measures of 14 days, and for how long that will be is not entirely clear. What I hear lately is that no international tourists from Europe will be allowed to enter Thailand before September. If any tourists are allowed at all, it will be tourists from China, from Singapore, from Taiwan, from South Korea and Japan, and maybe Australia. But Europe is not ready to enter Thailand yet. So yes, there's all nations are moving and looking for ways of opening up, very carefully doing so, because everybody is afraid of a second wave. So step by step measures are put in place to enable travel, business travel, the exchange of experts for nationals to get them back and forth. And it's going very carefully. It's not always very clear, even from the EU side, what is allowed and what is not allowed. And countries are struggling to sort of gradually open up their economies. And one country does that quicker than others, but I think for Europe, we're not last in line, but regional travel bubbles, as they call it, will be much earlier in place than any traffic on a large scale with Europe. Because of course, we've seen Europe being late with acting on the COVID-19 virus. You've seen the results of that in Spain, Italy, and even in the Netherlands. And actually, I think Thailand, for that matter, responded far more thoroughly, far more timely, adequately on this whole crisis. And Thailand will rebound much quicker than the IMF anticipates. Maybe you can go to the next slide, see? Here you see some growth forecast, what's going to happen in 2020, the rest of the year, and beyond. And Thailand, IMF is very negative on the rebound of Thailand. I tend not to agree with this. I think Thailand will rebound quicker than the IMF indicates. Of course, the economy is hurt terribly. Vietnam will lose between 6 to 8 million people will lose their jobs. This will apply to Thailand too. But regional travel, regional business, regional supply chains will pick up the second half of this year, the fourth quarter of this year, definitely. So I think, personally, it's not only gut feeling, it's also based on data. The growth figures of 2020 will be more in the line of between Japan and South Korea. Having said that, what does the government do? I put in a link on this slide. The KPMG lists there all the tax, whether it's withholding tax, whether it's personal income tax, whether it's VAT, what are the regulations enforced by the Thai government, exemptions, delays, reductions, enabling companies to breathe and to reopen again. So the government is very hard also to boost domestic travel first, regional travel then, and international travel, Europe, and long-haul travel later. Free tourism stimulus packages to sort of lure Thai people to travel again to destinations. Can be vouchers, can be discount on hotels, shopping coupons. People get rewarded who work very hard in the medical industry by travel arrangements funded by the government. So to get people moving initially within Thailand and to boost the economy in that perspective. I put on the, also as point number 3, I put in family support. I think in a lot of Asian nations, of course, SMEs, bigger companies are hit very hard by this crisis. Individuals are hard. People may lose their jobs. Families are hurt because of this. But through family support, where you can rely on your relatives or your cousins, or you can get support from them, will soften the blow in a nation like Thailand for sure. So it's been a very hard year, 2020, and it will remain to be so for the remainder of this year. But I see light at the end of the tunnel, and and especially Thailand, especially regionally, they will recover and they will be fine. I think the next speakers will go more into details what the specific opportunities will be. I just put it on here, the innovation, like the ambassador mentioned earlier, innovation. We're sort of, it was a wake-up call, this whole crisis. We have to innovate. We have to get the digital economy right because we've been vulnerable. So this is sort of the wake-up call to get this really strongly organized. And all nations in Asia and elsewhere will really spearhead this development. There's another slide, Siep, I think, to go a little bit to ASEAN. The ambassador mentioned that a little bit. In the EU, there's a lot of misunderstandings between nations, and every individual EU state, more or less, has his own policies and his own way to attack this virus. Germany, the Netherlands, the Scandinavian countries, everybody has his own strategy. In ASEAN, that's a little bit similar, but still ASEAN is trying to work on regional funding, regional stockpiling, with the help of Japan, Asian Development Bank. There are some mechanisms put in place rapidly to soften the blow and to be prepared for a next similar crisis. Yeah, I want to keep it at this because you have a lot of speakers. This gives you a little bit insight on Thailand in the region. And let's move forward, all of us, and we'll get this done. Thank you, Steve.
Okay, thank you very much, Matthijs. Very enlightening, very good. Our next speaker of today is Mrs. Salaya Aksharawat. She is the director of the Board of Investment Thailand office in Frankfurt, which is responsible also for the Benelux regions and thus for the Netherlands. She will tell us more on how Thailand is responding economically to COVID and also what the opportunities are that maybe arise from this crisis and how BOI Thailand can support Dutch business with this. Okay, Kun Salaya, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Excellency, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thank NTCC to support BOI and Team Thailand to organize our webinar today. So let's start with my presentation. My presentation will focus on 4 points. First, I would like to give a snapshot of economic situation in Thailand during COVID-19. And then I will talk about BOI incentive and opportunity that Thailand will offer. And finally, I will introduce about our facilitation and services. Despite the challenging of COVID-19 pandemic, Thai export in the first quarter has decreased 3.7%. But comparing with other countries in the region, we are less affected than other countries. The demand for foods such as rice, vegetable and fruit, seafood and frozen chicken have still expanded. Moreover, for industrial goods, electronic devices such as computer device, automotive and aircraft parts, and medical device also still growing. Next, as the Thai government is committed to easing business process for foreign companies by reducing paperwork, process steps, and digitizing government system. These efforts have resulted in significant improvement in many international rankings. As you see in the slide, for the ease of doing business, we are in the top 30 in global ranking, and also IMD World Competitiveness, we in the 29 places in global ranking. According to our economic statistics, for the next slide, let's look at the Thailand economic statistics. In 2019, the GDP grew 2.4% from 2018. That is greater than the GDP of the entire CLMV group combined. In addition, Thailand, we have the 52 million middle-class consumer, or 70% of population. This is make up the second highest household consumption in ASEAN. Next slide. Because of many factors such as our strategic location, quality of infrastructure, and also the government policy and investment incentive, Thailand continues to be the top investment location for leading global brands in a wide range of industry. And also the BOI has worked closely with this company for facilitation and give a variety of incentive package. And next slide. Here is example of Netherlands company have invested in Thailand, such as we have Corbion Purex. This is very successful in Thailand in food and biochemicals, especially to produce polylactic acids. And we have East West Seeds. This is the producer of high quality vegetable seeds for tropical conditions. For the next slide, I would like to turn to the second part of my presentation, that's about the investment incentive. For the BOI incentive, we are the government agency. Our major responsibility include providing tax and non-tax incentive to the investor. Our non-tax incentive includes the right to be 100% foreign ownership, because normally if you invest in service business, for the major majority of foreigner you cannot have a major majority of the share ownership. But if you get the BOI promotion, whether you are in manufacturing or services, you can have a 100% share ownership. And also you can own land to manage your project. Normally for the foreigner cannot own land, but if you get the BOI promotion, you can own land. And also no limitation to move your money in and out to Thailand. And last but not least, for work permit and visa, we also have one-stop visa and work permit for the BOI promoted company. For the tax incentive, this is the main of BOI incentive. Our offering includes corporate income tax exemption ranging from 0 year to 8 year, depending on what you do. And in certain cases, we also provide 50% reduction of corporate income tax after expiry of 100% exemption period. And in some cases, we can provide only corporate income tax reduction. If you want to bring in machinery from overseas, we can also provide you with exemption of import duty as well. And also if you are exporter, you want to buy raw material from overseas, and we also provide exemption of import duty from raw material. But the final product have to be exported. This is the incentive scheme that we are granting, and we try to help a company to reduce initial investment cost and improve return of investment. For the next slide, if you want to know how many years the tax incentive that you will be granted from the BOI, as you see on the slide, this is a standard incentive with the number of corporate income tax exemption depend on activity or product that you do, range from 0 to 8 years. For example, if you produce simple product that use low technology, you will get 0 year of corporate income tax and get only non-tax incentive. But if you produce high technology product, you will get more incentive from 3 years to 8 years, within in the category of A1 and A4. For the simple product, you may belong to the category of B1 and B2. And also, if you do more in your project, such as you do R&D, you improve your efficiency by use automation and robotics, or use the solar cell in your project, you can get more incentive. This is called merit incentive. For the next slide, we also have a targeted area called Eastern Economic Corridor that the ambassador mentioned. This is called the EEC. This is a flagship mega project that the government has invested long-term infrastructure development we will have a new airport here, and then the government will expand the deep sea port and rail system, and also we will have the first high-speed train in this area. If your project locate in this area, you will get more incentive besides from the standard incentive. So I would like to turn to the third part of my presentation to talk about the opportunity in many sectors. Start with the digital sector. In Thailand right now, the COVID-19 has changed the Thai behavior. Consumer, as you see in the slide, this is the nationwide survey on Thai consumer. As you see in the slide, the survey indicates that all digital service, including online shopping, food delivery, streaming content, game, and virtual meeting, have more opportunity in expanding their business online. Some particular business operators are experiencing exponential growth in the pandemic outbreak because the Thai consumer are spending more time at home. Digital content platforms such as Netflix is getting more than 15 million subscribers worldwide. And for the online shopping, we have Shopee. This is the #1 shopping application in Thailand. They get more than 450% increase in user number in Thailand, and also followed by Lazada. The second online application shopping platform also get the 100% increase in user number in Thailand. And additional, the application for delivery service and online car parking like Lineman also gain 100% increase in career average income. For the digital economy, proceed back to the digital again. Yeah, for the digital economy, there are many business and activity that eligible for investment promotion, such as software, like the embedded software, high value added software, and enterprise software. And also the BOI promote like the digital infrastructure, such as the data center, cloud center, and co-working space. This all activity will still need much more investment due to the demand is growing very fast. Next slide. So I talk about the advanced manufacturing sector. Because Thailand, the Thai government have a policy to move to the country to industrial 4.0. So we encourage manufacturing in all industry to improve their efficiency by using more automation and advanced robotics. Especially in automotive and electronic and electrical, these are top 2 sectors that move to advanced manufacturing faster than other sectors. And because the COVID-19, I think this situation will be forcing manufacturing in Thailand to increase their efficiency by using advanced technology. So there are a huge demand for companies that will set up business to support this manufacturing in Thailand in order to enhance the capacity of the sector. The activity that we can promote, such as automation and robotics, and also artificial intelligence, and high technology of machinery. Next slide. I will talk about the opportunity in medical and medical devices. I think maybe you can know that Thailand is the world top 5th biggest medical tourism market in the world, and we have a solid healthcare infrastructure that meet international standard. And as we is the 4th highest number of accredited hospital in the world. This is why Thailand ranked as the best country to have recovered from COVID-19 in Asia and ranked #2 worldwide. And according to the high demand of healthcare services, and Thailand also become to aging society. So there are many opportunities for investment, including medical devices, pharmaceutical, and medical service, and also R&D in medical industry also have BOI promoted as well. For the next slide, I will talk about the agriculture and biotech. This is also the priority sector that we promote because Thailand has abundance of natural resources and strong know-how in the agricultural sector. To leverage this advantage, the country aims to move up to the knowledge-based value chain and emphasis on bioeconomy. And because we have abundance of agricultural raw materials, so that we can produce in many bio-based products such as biofuels, bioplastic, and biochemicals, and also biopharmaceutical, which is all this activity we need much more investment and technology from overseas. Next slide. Because Thailand ranks the best country for starting a business in 2020, according to the survey from US News and World Reports. And as I mentioned in the first part of my presentation, we are the second home of many multinational companies. So we try to promote companies to set up international headquarters or international business center in Thailand by providing to provide services for their associated enterprise. The company can receive a wide range of incentives from three public agencies, including BOI, the Revenue Department, and the Bank of Thailand. So I would like to talk a little bit about our facilitation and service. This is the last part of my presentation. If you are not interested in setting up business in Thailand, but you would like to work or invest in Thailand, we also provide facilitation called Smart Visa. This is a program intended to attract talents, investors, executives, and startups to work in Thailand in the target country, and all the industry that I mentioned, these are all our target country. And the Smart Visa is used as a work visa. That means people who receive Smart Visa do not need to get a work permit. And we can provide you a maximum up to 4-year visa. This is longer than normal visa that we'll get for 2 years. And also a lot of privileges that attach to Smart Visa, such as your family can get a Smart Visa as well. And next, last but not least, I would like to talk about our services. We have a one-stop investment center, or OSOS, to help especially the newcomer who want to start business in Thailand. At the OSOS, we have a representative from several government agencies related to business operation gathered under one roof to provide service and advices. The company can register tax ID, employer ID, and company ID at the same time at the OSOS. And also we have one-stop service center for visa and work permit for BOI promoted company, also located at the OSOS. And our service within 3 hours is quite convenient to apply visa and work permit in the normal way. So this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kun Salaya. That's very clear. I think for everybody who wants to know if for their company there is any support available from BOI or which incentives could apply to their project, please don't hesitate to contact BOI, either Kun Salaya in Frankfurt, either myself here in the Benelux, or the BOI in Thailand, and they will be very happy to discuss with you what is possible for your project. Okay, and now we want to hear from the businesses itself, and we are very happy that Dan Kuiper of Framelco of Franklin Asia is willing to give us a presentation on their experience. And Framelco only opened up last year an office in Thailand with the goal of building a new plant in Thailand. And they managed to do so and opened up their Thai factory right in the middle of this COVID pandemic. So Dan, we're very interested to hear your story. Thank you.
Thank you, Siep, for the introduction. Yeah, actually, my name is Daniel, and I'm calling in from Thailand today. And yeah, today I would like to share my experience about setting up a production facility in Thailand during COVID times, indeed. And I learned that yeah, some of you are already established in Thailand, but I think my presentation is especially for those looking to establish themselves in Thailand in the near future and want to understand what such a product all involves. So if you can go to the next slide, yeah, I would like to discuss with you today, yeah, a brief introduction about the company, the situation we had, the project in Thailand, building a factory, and the lessons that we learned from that. So let me introduce first, yeah, the company itself. Franklin Asia is a family-owned company, and we are specialized in the development, manufacturing, and marketing of animal feed and drinking water additives. I think it was mentioned already before by the ambassador of Thailand in the Netherlands that this, yeah, we are lucky or quite lucky that this industry is not yet very hard affected by COVID. But anyway, the products that we sell, we provide our additives to feed manufacturers or feed producers, and yeah, with the aim of allowing agriculture or aquaculture to increase their productivity and profitability. We are currently active in more than 40 countries worldwide. So it started like about a year ago when we realized, yeah, Asia is strongly growing. Actually, our fastest growing market in our portfolio. The products there are mainly sold through distributors, and we had the intention to grow faster, but we know we had a couple of challenges that we had to tackle in order to do so. For example, the distributor visits that we did were not frequent enough. So we were not able to provide our distributors the frequent amount of trainings that we intended to do so. Also, delivering the goods, shipping to Thailand or to Asia takes approximately, depending on the country, but between the 30 or 45 days. It takes, yeah, pretty long. Also, the credit terms were sometimes more than 60 days. And of course, shipping to Asia involves shipping costs and also yeah, paying in some cases import duties over the products that you want to import there, driving up the local market price. So this is how we initiated the project. We had those challenges, and we thought, like, what do we have to do to tackle these problems and to grow or to develop our market in Asia? So in May 2019, exactly a year ago, we came up with Project Thailand, which had two main goals. First goal was to set up a facility to manufacture and distribute our products to our customers and distributors all over Asia. And next to that, we also wanted to set up a local team to increase sales and support in the Asian market. So the main motivations to move to Thailand were that we, of course, were closer to the market. Instead of flying all the time to our distributors from our headquarters in the Netherlands, we would now be way closer, also understanding the market better. We would reduce shipping times, yeah, from 30 to 45 days to 1 or 8, yeah, between 1 and 8 days. Also, this helped us to improve credit assurance. No need anymore to wait 60 days till your invoice is getting paid, because the distributor already receives the goods within 1 week. So there's no reason anymore to have very long credit terms. Then one of the most important things that we identified is we could actually save a lot of money on shipping and import duties. By manufacturing here locally, we could use the ASEAN free trade agreements to, let's say, manufacture in Thailand and then export our goods from Thailand to other Asian member states and make use of these free trade agreements. For example, if we would ship our products and manufacture them in the Netherlands and ship them to the Philippines, for example, we would pay a duty percentage of about 35% only to import them into the Philippines. By manufacturing in Thailand, these import duties would be reduced to 0%. So you can imagine that, allow us to be more competitive if we would transfer our production here to Thailand. So why Thailand specifically? Well, Thailand is the kitchen of the world. I think especially for our industry, that is very important. A lot of our customers are located in Thailand. So for us, Thailand is a very important market. And besides that, I think, the ambassador already mentioned, but there's a good infrastructure. And a representative from BOI can provide interesting incentives for starting businesses. And I find it so far a lovely culture, which is also important, I think. I don't go over all these tasks, but I understood when I first started in Thailand that it can be quite overwhelming of all the things that you have to think of. This is just a random selection. They're not in a particular order, but it's just the things that you have to think about when starting a factory. Of course, you need to have an entity, but also obtaining the necessary licenses and permits requires some planning ahead. Please, the next slide. I think I don't go too much in detail here. But I wanted to share a couple of pictures of how it looked like, let's say 6 or 7 months ago. We started basically in an empty hall. And the designs and drawings were already ready at that point. And we started basically construction of the production facility. So you see here building up of the frame. You see a container with machinery arriving. We combined some machines which we had already in the Netherlands with some Thai or some locally sourced machines. And also in the right side, maybe covered by some of the pictures, is some of the raw materials arriving. Here you see the project nearing its completion. We had some audits to obtain the required, for example, GMP certificates. So some auditors came over to see if you comply with all the rules and regulations, and obtain the last permits. And you see some of our products below in our warehouse. And then last but not least, it's important to set up a local team. So I shared with you how Franklin tries to blend in with the Thai culture. We had an official opening ceremony and tried to mix up the Dutch and Thai culture and try to blend in and create a nice team, a nice mix of cultures. So the current status, we completed the factory, so we are now operational. We've sent out the first invoices. So that is all in a year time. I'm quite pleased that despite the COVID-19, we have been able to achieve this. Of course, during such a project or the implementation of such a project, you bump into many challenges. And some of the lessons I learned and want to share with you is, set up a local project team right from the start. I think it's important to have somebody that is familiar in the area or familiar in Thailand and knows where to obtain all the licenses and permits. Sometimes in the beginning myself, I was showing up at the local authorities, and with my lack of the Thai language, it was sometimes quite challenging to get what I needed. So I suggest that finding for sure somebody that is familiar here in Thailand, and set up a local project team to increase the speed of implementation. I would say plan a generous timeline for such a project. We planned a year, but of course, depending on your project, this can vary. I think we could have obtained it or we could have completed maybe 2 or 3 months earlier if we did not encounter this COVID situation, especially obtaining the necessary licenses and permits was affected the timeline a little bit. Keep focused and work hard. That is obvious, but I think if you really want to achieve something and dedicated to start something here in Thailand, commit to that and try to make it happen. So just to summarize, I understand that due to COVID-19, companies obviously question if this is the right time to invest in Thailand. And I think although COVID is definitely opposing challenges, I hope that my story or sharing my story of successfully starting up a production facility works encouraging for those looking to start up or expand in Thailand. I included my email address here. If you have any questions or concerns or want to know a little bit more about starting up your business in Thailand, I'm happy to share a little bit more of my experience in more detail. And I hope this was an interesting presentation for all of you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Dan. It was a very interesting story. It was a great story, and it's really good to see what a fantastic plant you set up in difficult times. So thank you very much. Then our final speaker of today is Mark de Hertog. He's the Managing Director of Faber Flags Asia. Faber Flags has been established in Thailand already many years. And as I understand, Mark de Hertog has been established in Thailand even longer years. So he has quite a lot to tell us, hopefully. I understand that also that Faber Flags had a very nice contract for the Tokyo Olympics, which unfortunately fell through because of the COVID, but that they have managed to offset this by coping with the situation. And Mark, please tell us your story. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me, Siep. It's a real pleasure for me to contribute to this seminar in the presence of Her Excellency, the Ambassador of Thailand to the Netherlands and representatives of the BOI in Europe. But first, actually what I want to do is answer Dan's last question when he ended this very nice presentation. I think it's always the right time to invest in a fast-growing area of the world, Dan. So then let me start to introduce myself and the company a little bit, the company I'm working for. My name is Mark and I'm actually born in Brussels, but I moved to Asia in '96. Actually, Songkran 96, that is a little bit more than 24 years ago. So next year I'm celebrating my 25 years in Asia. Then in end of 2000, I moved from Thailand to Hong Kong up to mid of 2003. And then I moved back to Thailand, setting up my own company here. About 10 years ago, I got in contact with the Faber family when I learned that they were moving their manufacturing base from the Netherlands to Thailand. Their original intention was only to produce in Thailand and export everything back to their markets, their home markets, mostly in Europe, but also Middle East and South America. But I got in touch with them and I asked them if I could not sell their products made in Thailand, also in Thailand and the surrounding countries. And that's when we set up the company Faber Flags Asia. I've set up the company and have been running it since then, up to today. But if you notice the dates and the years that I just mentioned, then you may realize that I do have a bit of experience in surviving crises, because I arrived in '96 and in '97 we had the Tom Yam Kung crisis, the financial crisis that hit whole of Southeast Asia and Korea very hard. And I was in Hong Kong from 2000 until 2003. So I was also there in the year 2002 when the SARS epidemic hit. So I got a bit of training to survive this COVID pandemic. And just to illustrate a little bit of the difference and the similarities of these different crises, I want to say that from my perspective, the financial crisis in '97, I think it did hit Thailand much harder than COVID-19 is hitting Thailand right now. Was a lot of or many companies and a lot of people are suffering these days because of lack of income, maybe losing their job. But in '97, actually, it was more than that. Companies suffered, a lot of companies went bankrupt, people lost their jobs. But there was one more important element that today is not happening. That is that in those times, a lot of small and medium-sized banks went bankrupt, and deposit guarantee didn't exist in Thailand. So from one day to the other, many people lost all their possessions. Everything they had saved for many years and worked for many years, from one day to the other, it was gone. I still remember the image of my Thai colleagues in the office at that time, walking around in the office crying for days in a row because they lost all their savings. And this is not something that I see these days. And therefore, I agree with Matthijs, what Matthijs has said, that I do expect Thailand to recover rather quickly from this crisis. And indeed, the IMF and also the World Bank and the TDRI, the Thai Research Institute, they don't say this. They think it will take longer, at least until 2022, before there's a full recovery. But my gut feeling, the same as Matthijs says, that it's probably going to be faster than that. Unless there comes, of course, a second wave, which is worse than the first wave we went through, but that we can't predict. When I compare this COVID crisis with the SARS epidemic in Hong Kong, then the scale, of course, is very different. Today we are talking about a global pandemic. The SARS epidemic was much more limited, but the level of panic in Hong Kong at the time, the epicenter, was comparable to the panic level now in the worst hit regions and countries. People were wearing masks, were using disinfecting gel for their hands. Everyone was scared to touch a button in the elevator. So it was a very similar situation, but more limited. But also Hong Kong and the surrounding countries which were relatively heavily impacted, they recovered rather quickly. So I'm also relatively optimistic, more optimistic than most people, I would think so, in the speed of recovery in Thailand and surrounding countries. Coming back to our company, Faberflex is established in Thailand about 12 years. In 2008, the Faber family from Faberflex, Fabervlagen at the time in the Netherlands, were looking to move their production from the Netherlands to Asia. And they were looking actually at 3 different countries. Like everyone else, they were looking at China, because that was the place to go to for anything that related to manufacturing. They were looking at Vietnam, which was opening, just opening by the time. And they were looking at Thailand. And because everyone was running to China, they thought maybe do something different. And for Vietnam, it was still too early. The infrastructure was not developed enough. There were a lot of administrative hurdles. And they selected Thailand for a few reasons. One of the reasons was that they had an existing commercial connection with a Thai family active in the textile business, which is now the partner, the local Thai partner in the business. At the time, the exchange rate, Thai baht to euro, was still around 50 Thai baht per euro, which was a very attractive rate. So production cost-wise was very interesting. We also got a BOI promotion. We got a BOI license, so we got the support of BOI for the investment. And already at that time, the infrastructure in Thailand, the import-export infrastructure, was very good. There's also no issues with capital flows and things. So these were actually the main reasons why at that time in 2008, Faber decided to move their factory from Netherlands to Thailand. And by end of 2009, the factory was in operation. If the same decision had to be made today, then I must say the outcome is probably not the same for the sector that we are active in. One of the reasons is that the exchange rate has changed quite a bit. The Thai baht is up 30%, from 50 to 35 right now against the euro. And earlier this year, second half of last year, earlier this year, it was even higher. The BOI would, as of today, most probably not support a project in this business sector. The priorities of BOI have changed, as Khun Samlea explained, and I think rightfully so. So these are two main reasons that contributed to our decisions 10 years ago to come to Thailand that today actually are not valid anymore. There are some other issues in Thailand when you set up shop in Thailand, and they relate to staff availability. Today, of course, thanks or due to COVID, the situation is quite different. But pre-COVID, and especially like 2-3 years ago, actually it was very difficult to get staff, and especially skilled staff. So I think most of business owners, most of entrepreneurs in Thailand agree on the fact that there is a shortage of well-educated, skilled staff in Thailand. And whatever skills it may be technical skills, it may be skills in terms of automation, software, and things like that. Language skills also. And I do fully support the initiative of the government and also the BOI about the Eastern Economic Corridor. The policy is there, the willingness is there, the infrastructure is there, and probably also the capital needed to develop it is there. But I do see an issue with availability of skilled people. Because indeed, if you want to elevate the economy to a higher level to escape this middle income trap, then this is one essential element. And being a long time in Thailand, I must say that if I had to identify one key issue that is, let's say, slowing down the further development of Thailand, it is education, average education level of the people. And I must say that whatever government was in place since I arrived here 24 years ago, whatever party, whatever prime minister, wherever they came from, whatever the background, I have never seen any of them saying that now we make education our first priority. So, and that I would say is really essential for Thailand to continue developing and not slowing down. And I must say that some other countries in the area, neighboring countries, seem to do a little bit better than Thailand in that respect. So I think Thailand should pay enough attention, and the government should pay enough attention to this issue. Does it mean that Thailand is not an attractive place anymore to invest? No, of course not. And I think Dan already mentioned the key strengths of Thailand, that indeed it is still a very good country to live. Quality of life is very good here, and besides economic measures, this is also a decision factor when people decide to invest, to build a factory, to build a business somewhere. The infrastructure is among the best in Southeast Asia and is still improving. Also, something they can not take away from Thailand is the location. Location is, Thailand is located at the center of the greater Mekong Delta, which is if not the fastest, then one of the fastest growing regions in the whole of Southeast Asia. And Thailand, due to its good infrastructure and the location, is ideally positioned to act as a gateway to the markets of these countries, which is Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, and Myanmar. And that is something they cannot take away from Thailand. And as Kun Sanlaya already indicated, also is the ease of doing business is at a high level here in Thailand. It's not difficult to set up a company. Of course, there is the administration to go through, but in general, it's not really that difficult to set up a business, to start a business. Only one area where there is still some space for improvement, that is for SMEs. I mean, if you come here with a company behind you, medium, big size company from another country, and can set up an office with enough staff from the beginning, then there is no issue. But if you want to set up your own company starting from scratch, then the regulations in terms of number of people you have to employ and income and related to getting a visa, getting a work permit, make it difficult. And thinking about the Eastern Economic Corridor, actually the most innovative, the most disrupting innovations mostly come from SMEs, starting with the idea of someone and being developed and set up by a small team. So in my opinion, there could be done more to promote these kind of businesses. And I think BOI may be doing something with the smart visa in that respect, but I don't know enough of the details to see if that covers what I'm referring to. Now, coming back to the impact of COVID on the business, I'm not saying new that when I say that the impact is serious and is a threat to survival of many companies. For ourselves, as Siep already indicated, we had actually expected, at the start of the year, we had actually expected a bumper year this year because of the Tokyo Olympics. And we were selected as one of the suppliers of advertising, of banners, flags with the Olympic logos. And actually, we did get the first order, which we produced and shipped out just about 3-4 days before the Olympic Committee decided to cancel the games or to postpone the games to next year. So that we can forget about. And well, looking at the impacts on the business, I would say at the start of the COVID pandemic, at that time it was not called yet a pandemic, I think many companies suffered with supply issues, because many companies are getting materials from China, and China was in lockdown first. I think that today is not really an issue anymore, that has passed. But today companies are struggling with low order intake, low revenues, and resulting from that cash flow issues and cash position issues. Our main customer base here in Thailand is the beverage and the food industry, the automotive industry, the events industry. And well, these sectors are actually the sectors that are hardest hit by this pandemic. So our customers are not doing well at this stage. So we are not doing well either with our traditional products. Our factory, which is exporting a lot, about 85–90% of production is still exported from Thailand. They are running right now around 50% of what the normal load should be. I must say that we received very good support from our banks when it comes to resolving cash issues. The banks we are working with, they acted very quick, very fast, and very flexible. Beginning of April already, we had agreements with them in place that a suspension of capital repayment for 6 months, for all the outstanding loans. We also got part of a soft loan, which is part of the program of the Bank of Thailand. That is a loan with a 2% interest rate to be repaid in 2 years. That all went very smooth and very fast, I must say. I was surprised about it, positively surprised. And the result of that is that as of today, we don't have a serious cash problem. But of course, that all depends on how much longer this situation lasts. We did not, in our operations, we did not cut staff yet. And we didn't reduce salaries. I hope we will not be forced to do so, because that, I would really hate to do so. But as of now, we are in a position to not do that. What are the actions that we have taken? Well, at the moment that we saw the normal orders of our standard products, advertising products, dry up, then we were brainstorming a bit and thinking, what can we do? What can we sell? What are customers buying? What can be produced? What can we provide? So we know we can print. We do have fabric. We can stitch. And what are people buying? Well, people are buying masks. And luckily, we live in a country or in a region of the world where people don't have problem with wearing masks. Actually, they do like wearing masks. And in Thailand, actually, it's not so uncommon as in China it is. Already in the beginning of the year, before there was any discussion of COVID, many people were already wearing masks on the street, and that was due to pollution, PM 2.5 pollution in the city of Bangkok. So the situation is a bit different, or quite different from Europe, where actually people don't really like and some really resist wearing masks. Here in Thailand, it has actually more become a fashion item. So some people wearing a cap, some people wearing a gadget, and many people wearing a mask, and wearing fancy masks, buying fancy masks, just as it was any other fashion item. So therefore, we decided that we were going to into the production of face masks, and not into the mass production like 10,000s or 100,000s of masks per week, like the professional mask producers are doing, because we don't have the infrastructure, we don't have the machinery for that. Our machines are designed to produce large size prints. And we talk about meters up to 10 meters, 15 meters, not about masks of 10 by 20 centimeters. We can do it, but we cannot do it as productively as the companies that are focusing and specializing in making masks. So we identified a niche in the market that we thought might be interesting. That is the branded masks, the mask with a company logo, with a message that small and medium-sized companies and organizations may be interested in to give to the staff, to give to their customers, or schools to give to their students. And we started also selling these masks in a bit different way than our traditional business. We did set up a dedicated web shop, not with our own name, Faberflex Asia, but with another name. We use a brand, Community Masks, foryou.com, because the masks that we produce are indeed, they are not medical masks, they are masks to protect the community, not to protect the individual, but protect the community. When everyone is wearing one, then transmission of the virus will be limited. We also started to get more active on social media, promoting this product.
Mark, sorry to break in, but we are getting to the end of the of the Zooms.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
No.
So I'm going to conclude. So what did we do as or to try to overcome this COVID crisis? Is we expanded our product range. Beside the mask, we have a whole range of signage and products that you may need for social distancing. And we got more active in e-commerce, online selling, and online advertising. That is what we do. It doesn't completely compensate the orders from the Olympics. It's a total different order of magnitude, but at least it allows us to keep our people busy, and that is the main focus as of today.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much, Mark, and thank you for these good and honest insights you gave us, and I hope the Olympics will go on next year as planned.
Yeah.
Cross fingers. Okay, this brings us to the end of the presentations. I hope this has given you a better insight in the current situation, but also gives you some ideas of how about to go further. What's the road ahead? I haven't seen any questions in the chat, and I'm afraid we are running a little late. So if you still have questions, do not hesitate to contact us. There's also, and I'm really happy to see that, a very collaborative network for Thai and Dutch organization network that will help you both here in the Netherlands as in Thailand. We have, of course, here the BOI office, we have the two embassies, both the Thai embassy in The Hague, the Dutch embassy in Bangkok. We have NTCC working both in the Netherlands and in Thailand. RVO is there, and since recently, NL in Business also have set up a hub in Bangkok. So you see there is a lot of support for companies, both from the Thai side and from the Dutch side, and we all love each other and work together, so don't worry where to put your contact first. I think we leave it till here, and I would like to thank all the speakers for their interesting stories, and especially I would like to thank you for attending our webinar. We wish you all a very good day, and thank you again. Kap Kun Krap. Bye-bye.
สวัสดีครับ 61.
I'm gonna close it now. Thank you all, and hope to see you soon or speak to you soon. Bye-bye.